You know that feeling like you're just drifting? Like life is this thing that's happening to you, and you're kind of just along for the ride? Yeah, it's a super common feeling. But today we're going to dig into this really powerful idea. What if you could stop being just a passenger and actually become the architect of your own life? So let's grab the blueprints and get started. Okay, so it really boils down to this one choice, right? It's this fundamental shift in how you see everything. On one side, you've got the passenger. They're reactive. They let circumstances, other people, whatever, dictate their journey. And then you've got the architect. Totally different. They're proactive. They happen to life. They move with purpose, designing something that really, truly feels like them. So take a quick, honest moment right now. Which one feels more like you? Because the answer to that question, well, that's the starting point for literally everything we're about to cover. All right, so if you're going to be an architect, you need a solid foundation. And some great insights on this come from the author Dan DeSmarcus. He says a purposefully designed life is really built on just a few core principles. And don't think of these as like complicated rules. They're more like powerful guiding lights for your whole blueprint. So the first big principle, intentionality. This is the absolute cornerstone of a designed life. It's all about making conscious choices, asking why you're doing something instead of just living on autopilot. When you're intentional, even the most boring, mundane routines can become these meaningful rituals that actually build towards your biggest goals. And look, it's not about these huge, grand gestures. It's about bringing that mindfulness to the little things. I love this idea he has of turning a simple coffee routine into a ritual. It just shows how these small, deliberate acts, they build a muscle of purpose. And that's a muscle you can then use for the really big stuff in your life. Next up, we have authenticity. And if intentionality is your main tool, think of authenticity as your compass. It's your North Star. It's the practice of really figuring out who you are, away from all the societal expectations and pressures, and then using that knowledge to guide every single decision. Living this way gives you this incredible sense of clarity and, honestly, personal power. And this image of a deeply rooted tree, it is just perfect. It shows you that authenticity isn't about being fragile or weird. It's about being stable. It's about being strong. When your actions finally line up with who you are on the inside, you build this kind of integrity that is just unshakable. Okay, so we've got the guiding principles down: intentionality and authenticity. Now, let's get super practical. How do you actually start building this thing? Well, here are two really powerful, actionable frameworks you can literally start using today. So we've got two really different approaches here, and you can pick what works for you. Think of it like this. You've got a destination map versus a construction plan. Method 1, the perfect day script, that's all about defining your destination in vivid detail. It's amazing for big picture thinkers. Method 2, the daily blueprint, that's about the small, structured steps you take every day. Perfect if you thrive on process and building that daily momentum. All right, let's talk about this first method, which comes from manifestation expert Kath Kyle. And it's so simple, it's almost deceptive. You just ask yourself this one question. If you had to live one perfect day over and over again, like Groundhog Day, but awesome, what would it include? And I mean everything, your work, your health, your finances, where you live. By scripting all of that out in super vivid detail, you create this incredibly clear, powerful target to aim for. Now, if you want something a bit more systematic, check out the daily blueprint. This comes from a really smart framework shared on Reddit. It's a daily practice, and it's just 4 parts. Easy. First, you aim. You define your goals clearly. Second, you plan. You structure your day with intentional actions. Third, you reflect. At the end of the day, you journal your progress. And fourth, and this one is so important, you avoid traps. You actually identify and list out the things that derail you. And this is where that daily blueprint gets incredibly powerful. Look at this. By planning these little actions across different categories, like nourish, win, contribute, purpose, you make sure you're designing a whole, well-rounded life, not just, tunnel visioning on one single goal. Every one of these is a small, totally achievable action that just builds massive momentum day after day. So, whether you're scripting that perfect day or you're building out that daily blueprint, there's a powerful engine that makes it all work. And that engine is visualization. And listen, this isn't some kind of magic or wishful thinking. It's a proven, well-documented psychological tool that literally helps program your brain for success. Let's put this in perspective. Success coach Jack Canfield talks about how you, yes you, have 18 billion brain cells. I mean, just think about that. That is an incredible amount of raw power, just waiting for instructions. And visualization, that's the tool you use to give all 18 billion of them one single unified command. Okay, team, this is where we're going. Now, to really make this work, you need two types of visualization. First, there's outcome visualization. That's picturing the end result, holding the trophy, crossing the finish line. That's your what, and it's the motivation that pulls you forward. But just as important is process visualization. This is where you mentally rehearse the steps to get there, the workout, the studying. That's your how, and it's what reduces anxiety and builds real confidence. And look, getting started is super simple. You could make a classic vision board, sure, or you could do something as easy as just writing your number one goal on a note card and reading it every single morning. You can even create sensory triggers like a specific song or a scent that you only use when you're focusing on your goals. Whatever you choose from this list, the real secret, the thing that makes it work, is consistency. All right, we have covered the guiding principles, we've covered the practical frameworks, and we've talked about the engine that drives it all. So let's bring it all home. Where do you actually begin? So here's the thing. This is where so many people get paralyzed, right? We think we need to make some massive, life-altering change all at once, overnight. But that's just not how real, lasting change ever works. No, the real secret, it's all about small, consistent steps. That's it. It's about committing to a small, repeatable process every single day. Maybe it's just writing one sentence of your perfect day script. Maybe it's just checking off one tiny box on your daily blueprint. That consistency, that's what turns those small actions into a fully designed life. I really want you to let this next one sink in. It's a quote that comes from the self-improvement community on Reddit, and it's pretty stark, but it is so important. It says, "Failure isn't the exception. Failure is the default." Think about that. If you do nothing, you're not just standing still, you are actively drifting toward the default setting, which is usually unfulfillment. And that is exactly why this proactive, intentional design is so critical. So, I'm going to leave you with this one question. Let's forget about the 5-year plan for just a minute. What is the one single, small action you will take today to start shifting from being that passenger to becoming the architect? Whatever it is, decide on it right now and then go do it.
Rise up, rise high. Let your spirit take flight. Chase the stars, never back down from the fight. We're warriors inside.